خلیفہ کے ہم ہیں خلیفہ ہمارا، وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا، ہمارا ہمارا خلیفہ ہمارا، وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا، وہ دل ہے ہمارا آقا ہمارا.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of This Week with Huzur. Today we are honored to present highlights of two virtual mulaqats with Hadrat Khalifatul Masih, may Allah be his helper, that took place last weekend with members of Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya UK. We start with Saturday's mulaqat, in which beloved Huzur met with Khuddam aged between 16 and 19 from South England, followed by another mulaqat with young Khuddam from the Midlands region, held on Sunday.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. بیٹھ جاؤ.
Last weekend, young members of Majlis Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya UK, aged 16 to 19, were blessed with two virtual mulaqats with Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper. The first mulaqat took place on Saturday, where over 230 Khuddam gathered at the Baitul Futuh Mosque were able to seek Hazur's guidance on a range of issues.
Acha. Oh, what do you say?
Hazur, my question is, during the plague, Allah promised the promised Messiah ﷺ that he would protect him and everyone in his household. Would this promise encompass the present and future calamities that would befall the world?
See, that was the sign given to the Prophet Messiah ﷺ. And it was foretold by Allah Ta'ala to the Prophet Messiah ﷺ. Thus now the plague is going to start, and you should ask your community members, those who are strong in faith, they are very much staunch, that even if they do not get the anti-plague jab, they will be saved, right? But even at that time, the Prophet ﷺ did not ask that nobody should take this vaccination. He says, if government make it compulsory, and then you can take it, no problem, right? Here, we did not have any such promise. So, you must remember this thing, that if we are strong and staunch, then in most of the cases, Allah will save us from the bad effect of this disease. But even then, during the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, even during the time of the Khulafa-e-Rashidin, there was an outbreak of plague. And this is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that the one person who dies because of plague has the status of being martyr, right? Shaheed. So we cannot say that this is the punishment if it is not a sign. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it was a sign. Now it is not the sign in that sense. So if government asks us to take anti-COVID vaccine, then we should try to take it. And it is not necessary that all the people will have this COVID, or no Ahmadi will have this COVID, or the person who has, being an Ahmadi, suffers from COVID, he will be saved. If he dies, his status will be as martyr in the eyes of Allah. Right? So we should take all the necessary measures against all the calamities or diseases or any outbreak. Right? Until and unless Allah Ta'ala tells the Khalifa of the time that now this is the sign and all the Ahmadis will be saved from this, then that is a different case. Right? Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
My question is, I constantly pray for my spiritual advancement, but the next day I don't feel any progress. Can you guide me on how I can improve myself?
You see, it is not necessary that you immediately get the result of it. There was a saint who used to pray for something every day, and he was just fervently praying for that. He had such a close relation with Allah Ta'ala that every day he will receive the answer of Allah Ta'ala that no, your prayers are not accepted. One day, one of his companion or follower was present, and in his presence, when the saint was praying, the same answer came from Allah Ta'ala. And that answer was also heard by the companion. Then the companion said that if Allah Ta'ala says that I am not going to accept your prayer, why are you praying? Then leave it. The saint said that I have been praying for last 30 years and I receive this answer daily. Still, I am doing it. And I will keep on doing it until and unless Allah Ta'ala accepts it. Where should I go then? Then immediately the voice came, and it was heard by the companion as well, that all your prayers you offered during last 30 years have been accepted because of this one sentence. So you should not try to make haste. If you are praying to Allah Ta'ala for your spiritual advancement, then you also check that whether you are following the commandments of Allah. Allah Ta'ala says that you have to be firm in your faith in the Holy Quran. When you are firm in your faith, then when you are praying, I will accept your prayers. Right? And I will increase your status, spiritual status. You will have to pray in your 5 daily prayers and, if possible, in congregation. And pray fervently, offer nawafil, and then follow the teaching of the Holy Quran, as I have already said. Not that you just, in a light mood, you offer your prayer and then say, Allah Ta'ala, oh Allah Ta'ala, increase my spiritual status, and then Allah Ta'ala will say, okay, now I'm going to make you a saint. No, you cannot be a saint in one night. Yeah? It's a continuous process. Jahadu Fina. Allah Ta'ala says, you have to strive hard, struggle hard in my way. Then I will give you this status. So you keep on doing it. One day you will get the answer from Allah Ta'ala that now He has increased your spiritual status. We don't have any other way to go. Right? So keep on doing it. One day you will succeed. Never give up. Okay?
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah.
My question is, if you were to give one unequivocal proof for the truthfulness of Ahmadiyya, what would it be?
You see, for different people you have different arguments. If a person who does not believe in the existence of Allah Ta'ala, you will first have to make him realize that God does exist. Right? A person who is a Muslim and have Muslim background, you will have to give him a different proof that these are the prophecies of the Holy Prophet ﷺ for this age, and they have been fulfilled. And this was in the Holy Quran even, that the Mahdi and Messiah will come in the latter days. For a Christian, you will have a different answer. Make them realize that the person who was to come is not the same Messiah, Jesus Christ, who will descend from heaven, but it will come from among the Muslim Ummah. So there are so many different proofs, but we can say that the Holy Prophet ﷺ also prophesied one heavenly sign, and that was the eclipse of sun and moon. And that will be a sign of the advent of the promised Messiah ﷺ. This was a sign foretold by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And that is what the people and the other Muslims and other people were waiting for. Right? And it occurred in 1894 in the Eastern Hemisphere. And it occurred in 1895 in Western Hemisphere. And the claim was already there of the Prophet Messiah al-Islam. So that shows that the person who was to come had been prophesied with so many signs given to us by the Holy Prophet ﷺ and even in the Quran. But there were some heavenly signs, and this is one of the heavenly signs. And this has been fulfilled. So after having seen that, even then if we do not believe, then we cannot force anybody to believe. This is not the sign which is the man-made sign. That was a heavenly sign. And it happened. Right?
Yeah, this is it.
Thank you.
Jazakallah.
Huzur, nowadays politics, domestic and foreign, is plagued by double standards and injustice. How would an Ahmadi politician deal with such issues, and what policies do you think must be prioritized to improve the state of the world?
The main thing is true justice, absolute justice. Until and unless we follow it, we cannot maintain the peace in the society or in the world. The true justice is that, as the Holy Quran says, that if you have to speak against your own relatives, you have to stand witness against your own people, even then you stand and speak truth. And this is the justice, right? So if we attain this standard, then we can spread peace in the society, and this peace in the society will spread all across the world, and then we can say there's a chance of peace and harmony and love in the world, otherwise not. Right? Politicians have double standards. They have their own vested interests. Even a politician whom you see, he will talk to you, he will say whatever you are saying is right, and I agree, 100% agree with you. But whenever he goes out, he will follow his party manifesto and whatever his party policy is, right? So he cannot deviate from his party policy. So in this way, they say different thing to you, but they practice different thing. Being an Ahmadi, if you come into politics, then be an independent politician and then raise this voice of creating peace, justice and love in the society. If you think that if you join any party and the party manifesto does not give you the free chance to speak the truth, speak for justice, then leave the party and be an independent politician. And if you are doing it, then even after some time you can make your own party, or at least fight for this peace of the society as an independent politician. Okay?
Ji, Jazakallah Huzur.
Assalamu alaikum.
My question is, how can we show Hudam the importance and benefits of giving chanda?
You see, Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that you should spend in the cause of Allah. If our chanda is being spent for the cause of Allah, then we should try to give it. If not, then we should not. Right? So make your Khudam realize that whatever we are going to spend, it is going to be spent in the cause of Allah Ta'ala. For the betterment of our community, for printing literature, for running our day-to-day expenses with regards to our office work, and other Jamaati programs, right? Without money nowadays you cannot do anything. And even during the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, even the previous prophets, they used to ask for chanda. This is why in the Holy Quran, it is in the second surah, Surah Baqarah, in the beginning, Allah Ta'ala has asked us that you should spend in the cause of Allah. So if we believe that what we are going to give is going to be spent in the cause of Allah, then people will happily give their chanda. And if they think that if you collect chanda and Mohtam Amin Sahib, Sadr Sahib or Nazim Sahib Ummi and Mian Athar Mahmood is going to use this chanda to enjoy their Nando's and pizzas, then they will not give. Huh? So make them realize that whatever they are going to give, it will be spent for the purpose of spreading the message of Islam and for the betterment of our community. You cannot run the affairs of even a small club without money. You have to contribute something. So here, this is why we have to contribute something to run our affairs, right? We prepare a budget, and the proper detailed budget is prepared. It is the budget discussed in the Amla, National Amla, if it is a national budget, and then Shura also discusses it, and then they send it to me. Then I also see that nothing is going to be spent without any purpose. Then, after a long discussion and deliberation, then you approve the budget, then you should pay for that. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, there, Mohtam Sahab, that's the end of it.
Jazakallah Hazur.
ठीक है, 1 घंटा हो गया, 1 घंटा पूरा आपने ले लिया माशाल्लाह.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Jazakallah Hazur. जी जी Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Allah Hafiz wa Nasir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The following day, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih V, may Allah be his helper, held a virtual meeting with 60 young Khuddam from the Midlands region who were gathered at the Darul Barakat Mosque in Birmingham. Once again, the Khuddam had the chance to ask Hazur a range of questions.
Dear Hazur, can you please share any memorable experiences from your days in Khuddamul Ahmadiyya which you still cherish to this date?
Every moment in Khuddamul Ahmadiyya I cherish. Being a young person, so when you get old, you cherish every moment when you were young. So, Khuddamul Ahmadiyya, I remember when we used to hold our Ijtima, and that used to be in the open air. We would erect our own tents, and not the properly made tent as you get here in Europe or elsewhere, but we used to use our bed sheets to make tents. So when there is rain, then drops will come inside the tent, since it is not waterproof. So we used to cherish those days and enjoy that camping. For 3 days, we would stay there in the camp, right? The whole place will be fenced or covered. You can make just a makeshift arrangement in an open field. And Jalsa Ijtima marquee will also be erected there. And that was also not waterproof, as it is here. If there is any rain, then you are properly soaked. So this is how we used to enjoy our days. And then they would cook food there. We enjoy our food. We bring up our food in a bucket. And then a group of 10 people will stay in one tent. So these were the days I still remember and cherish. Right?
My question to you is, as we know, Afghanistan has not been at peace since the martyrdom of Hazrat Sahibzada Abdul Latif Sahab Shaheed Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. In the same way, will we ever see Pakistan at peace after all the martyrdom and cruelties over the past many years?
If Pakistanis, the ulamas or the so-called Maulvis, clerics, did not change their attitude, there will never be a peace in Pakistan even. Right? until and unless they behave well, they practice good morals, and they change their attitude and try to be human. So if they are doing inhumane activities, Pakistan can never be at peace. And we have been seeing it since in 1953, when there was too much hue and cry against Ahmadis and protests, and some Ahmadis were martyred at that time in 1953. But at the same time, the Pakistani Ahmadis were free to hold the status of citizen of Pakistan. But now, after Constitution amendment and after the Ziaul Haq's further amendment in 1984 in the Constitution, Ahmadis have been prohibited, have been stopped from naming their children even as the Muslim name their children. They cannot say Bismillah, they cannot say Assalamu Alaikum. And they have enacted a law, they have further reinforced the law against Ahmadis. And if you see the history of Pakistan, since then, there is no peace in the country. Even governments, whenever any political government or military government comes, they are shaking. They cannot control. So they do not have the control over their citizens. Even Mullah has taken over. Mullah has the nuisance value. And see, until and unless they repent, I don't think there's going to be any change in Pakistan as with regards to its peace. Right. Assalamu alaikum.
My question is, with the coronavirus pandemic, we have seen a massive impact on people's mental health, with depression and anxiety increasing. This has also affected many khuddam. How would al-Huzur recommend a khadim deals with these issues?
Allah Ta'ala says, Allah bi zikrillahi tatmainul qulub, that remembrance, my remembrance and my zikr will satisfy your hearts. So, during these days, we should try to get closer to Allah Ta'ala. Offer our prayers fervently 5 times, if possible, in congregation. And also do some zikr, say Durood Sharif, Istighfar, and seek Allah's guidance and help by walking. Then Allah Ta'ala will give you comfort and strengthen your heart. During this virus, those who are living close to me and even myself, I didn't feel anything wrong. I don't think it has left any bad effect on us. We are okay. And you are also okay. Are you not okay?
I'm okay.
Then, yes, then if you are okay, then. So those who have something, then they should seek Allah's help. Right? And Allah Ta'ala will help them by offering their prayer. Be punctual and fervent in your prayer. And do some other zikr, Durood Sharif and Istighfar and La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah and so many other prayers written in the prayer books. That will satisfy you. Okay?
Jazakallah Zur.
Another khadim mentioned that sometimes a person can get distracted whilst offering salat and sought Huzur's guidance on how to maintain one's concentration on the prayer.
Because your preferences are different. While praying, your preference is not prayer. What are you studying?
I'm studying A-levels.
What are your subjects?
Arts, computer science, and maths.
Math. So when you're praying, sometimes you're distracted, you are thinking of your computer science, any problem of the computer science, how to solve it, or how to do this, to learn this formula to solve this question of the mathematics. So Sometimes you are seeing some program on the television and it just comes before you that, oh, that character of the drama was doing this thing and that thing. Huh? So these are the things which are distracting your attention and you are not focusing properly on the salat. So at that time, when you are reciting Surah Fatiha, you say, Idina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Idina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Idina Sirat al-Mustaqim. And then, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem. And if you are offering your prayer in congregation, then say A'udhu Billah and then focus on what the Imam is saying on your prayer. And when you are doing your own prayer, offering sunnah or offering even your salat at home, then A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, A'udhu Billah, Astaghfirullah. And then this way, wherever you come to know that you are distracted, then try to come to the same place. If you see that you are reciting Surah Fatiha and after reciting Maliki Yawmiddin you have gone to solve your computer problem or maths problem or some other character of the drama, then say A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, Astaghfirullah, and then repeat again, start again from Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So repeatedly do it and seek Allah's help in this regard, and then Allah Ta'ala will help you. It is a continuous process, and after some time you will be well trained, then you will never be distracted.
Assalamu alaikum. My question is, on Eid al-Adha, instead of sacrificing an animal, can we give money to the needy people instead, and could that be considered as qurbani?
You see, should we introduce our own Sharia or the Sunnah or follow what the Holy Prophet ﷺ did?
Follow Sallallahu
Then, see, he used to do Qurbani, sheep Qurbani, and then you see there are quite a number of people in the world who do not even get meat. Here in Europe you cannot realize this thing. But people living here in Europe or the Western countries or the rich countries, they can do their sacrifice in the poor countries like Africa or Pakistan or India or elsewhere in South American countries or something. You see, if you do some sacrifice in the African countries, I have received some feedback from some people. Once I asked them to sacrifice some goats somewhere in African villages. And I had the feedback that the people were saying that we have seen meat and we have eaten meat after 3 years or 4 years. So it is also, something which is liked by people if you do sacrifice. And if you have enough money, apart from your Qurbani, Eid al-Adha Qurbani, you can give your money as charity to other people, or you can give directly to the people whom you consider poor. But here, for the Qurbani, Eid Qurbani, we have to follow the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, if we are a true Muslim. Okay? Malvi, baith jao.
Jazakallah.
My question is, the promised Messiah ﷺ prophesied the success of Ahmadiyyat. With Allah's support, the majority would one day accept the Imam of the age. When do you think this will happen?
The Prophet Messiah ﷺ has said that the acceptance of the Messiah of Moses took almost 300 years or more. When the Roman king accepted Islam, the Christianity. But the Prophet Messiah ﷺ has also said that you would see that 300 years will not even pass or even come to an end before majority of the people in the world will accept Ahmadiyya, the true Islam. This is what he has said. But all these things are dependent on our other deeds and actions. If we are good in our deeds and actions, if we are following the commandments of Allah Ta'ala, if we are praying to Allah Ta'ala, if we are a true Muslim, then it can happen earlier than that. So, what you are doing for this? See your own self. I should see my own self. and see what we are doing for the spread of Ahmadiyyat and true Islam in the world. If our deeds, our actions, our duties towards Allah Ta'ala are up to the mark, our duties towards our fellow being fulfilled, then we shall achieve this target earlier than that. Even. Okay? اچھا محتم صاحب, 1 hour has passed, so کیا کہتے ہیں آپ؟
بہت شکریہ حضور.
شکریہ ہے. بچے ہیپی ہیں؟ خدام الاحمدیہ are happy here?
جی خوش ہیں, بہت خوش ہیں.
خوش ہیں؟ I cannot see their face.
ماسک پہنا ہے لیکن ہنس رہے سب.
Mask is covering their faces. So anyway, I hope they are happy. ہاں؟
جی.
Okay, السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.
جزاک اللہ. السلام علیکم حضور.
السلام علیکم.
Those were highlights from 2 mulaqats from last weekend. We now end with our final segment, the Friday Sermon Summary.
In today's Friday sermon, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, may Allah be his helper, continued with his series on the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He narrated a number of inspirational incidents about the battles during the time of Hazrat Umar radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu.
کیساریہ کے محاصرے کے مقام پر حضرت عبادہ بن صامت اسلامی فوج کے میمنہ کے قائد تھے. آپ اپنی فوج کو نصیحت کرنے کھڑے ہوئے, انہیں گناہوں سے بچنے اور اپنا محاسبہ کرنے کا حکم دیا. پھر مجاہدین کا ایک ہجوم لے کر آگے بڑھے اور بہت سارے رومیوں کو قتل کیا, لیکن اپنے مقصد میں اچھی طرح کامیاب نہ ہوئے. دوبارہ اپنی جگہ واپس آئے, اپنے ساتھیوں کو لڑنے مرنے پر جوش دلایا اور اپنے ساتھ اتنا بڑا ہجوم لے کر حملہ کرنے کے بعد بھی نامراد لوٹنے پر کافی حیرت اور تعجب کا اظہار کیا اور کہا کہ اے اسلام کے پاسبانوں, میں بیعت عقبہ میں شریک ہونے والے نقباء میں سے یعنی نقیبوں میں سے کم عمر تھا, لیکن مجھے سب سے لمبی عمر ملی. اللہ نے میرے حق میں فیصلہ کیا کہ مجھے زندہ رکھا, یہاں تک کہ آج یہاں تمہارے ساتھ اس دشمن سے لڑ رہا ہوں. قسم ہے اس ذات کی جس کے ہاتھ میں میری جان ہے, میں نے مومنوں کی جماعت لے کر جب بھی مشرکوں کی جماعت پر حملہ کیا تو انہوں نے ہمارے لیے میدان خالی کر دیا, یعنی ہماری جیت ہوئی اور اللہ نے ان پر ہمیں فتح دی. کیا بات ہے کہ تم نے ان پر حملہ کیا اور ان کو ہٹا نہ سکے. پھر اس کے بارے میں آپ کو جو اندیشہ لاحق تھا اسے ان لفظوں میں بیان کیا کہ مجھے تمہارے بارے میں 2 چیزوں کا اندیشہ ہے, یا تو تم میں سے کوئی خائن ہے, یا جب تم نے حملہ کیا تو مخلص نہیں تھے, یا خائن ہو یا اخلاص نہیں ہے. اس کے بعد یا اس وقت اخلاص نہیں تھا جب حملہ کر رہے تھے. اس کے بعد آپ نے انہیں صدق کے دل سے شہادت مانگنے کی تلقین کی اور کہا کہ میں تم میں سب سے پیش رہوں گا اور ہرگز پیچھے نہیں ہٹوں گا یہاں تک کہ اللہ تعالیٰ فتح سے نواز دے یا شہادت کی موت عطا فرمائے. چنانچہ جب رومی اور مسلمان آپس میں ٹکرائے تو عبادہ بن صامت اپنے گھوڑے سے کود کر پیدل ہو گئے. عمیر بن سعد انصاری نے آپ کو پیدل دیکھا تو امیر لشکر کے پیدل لڑنے کی بات مسلمانوں میں عام کر دی اور کہا کہ سب لوگ انہی کی طرح ہو جائیں. چنانچہ سب نے رومیوں سے زبردست مارکہ آرائی کی اور انہوں نے پست کر دیا. بالآخر وہ بھاگ کر شہر میں قلعہ بند ہو گئے. جس طرح عربوں نے کیساریہ پر قبضہ کیا تھا اسی طرح غزہ بھی فتح کر لیا. عہد صدیقی میں بھی مسلمان ایک دفعہ غزہ پر قبضہ کر چکے تھے, لیکن بعد میں انہیں وہاں سے نکال دیا گیا تھا. جب یہ دونوں سرحدی مقام مسلمانوں کے زیر اقتدار آ گئے تو حضرت عمر بن عاص کو سمندر کی طرف سے اطمینان ہو گیا.